Welcome to eSonMicro-LAB. This is Part 6, C# Arrays. In this tutorial, we will look into single-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, multi-dimensional array, and jagged array. Please don't forget to subscribe and click on the notifications. Please let me know in the comments section any feedback you may have. Your opinion is very much appreciated. Array is a collection or series of items or elements of the same data type saved in contiguous memory location that can be addressed by using its corresponding index. In C#, array is another data structure to store multiple variables in or of reference type. An array with various dimensions in length can be utilized by establishing an instance of the array with default values of 0 for numeric array elements and null for reference type. The index of an array always starts with 0. Arrays are strongly typed, meaning that if we declare an array of type integer, we cannot have a string as one of the elements. Array elements cannot exceed the size originally set. If we have an array of size 6, and if we try to access the array with the index of 6, we will get a runtime error. Please keep in mind that once an array is declared, we cannot change the size of the array. To print the contents of an array, we can use the for or for each loop to examine each element of the array and print the results. Imagine if we have the following statement: integer count equal to 3. This declaration, we can only have one value stored for count and would not be able to store another value to our integer variable. If we have several integer type variables, instead of declaring each variable separately, we make the use of an array by storing all our integer variables with the same identifier stored in contiguous memory locations. In other words, if we want to store a group of similar type into one variable, then we use arrays. Looking at the example below, we have an array of type integer and my nums equal to new integer array with the size of 6. Int represents variable type. Integer in this case. Brackets represents an array. My nums represents the name of array. New int 6 within brackets indicates that we have an array of size 6. For reference, the list to the right displays how to create single-dimensional, multi-dimensional, and jagged arrays. Let's go to Visual Studios to see some examples. In this example, we will examine an array, a very simple array of type integer. So let's get started and open bracket, close bracket, the name of the array, my array, and that is equal to new, and type is integer, and let's provide a size for our array. So in this case, let's have 6 and semicolon. So basically what we've done here, we've created an array of type integer, and the brackets always indicate that it is an array. This is the name of the array, and here we are instantiating an array and we are giving it a size of 6. So let's go ahead and create items within our array or elements of the array. So we start with the array name and then open bracket, and here we need to insert the index. Please keep in mind that the index for arrays are always integer based. It starts with an integer number. We cannot have another value or another type for the index, and it always starts with 0, and that is equal to 1. For our first element within our array, we are assigning a value of 1. Let's copy all of this and paste it a few times. So we can go ahead and change the indexes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the last one. Let's also change assigned values 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. For simplicity, I'm just picking up these numbers, but these can be any value of type integer. So as we have indicated earlier, arrays are strongly typed, meaning that if we declare an array of type integer, we cannot assign a string value to one of its elements. For example, if we go ahead and change this to a string type, let's say hello, we already see an error indicating that cannot implicitly convert type string to an integer. So let's go ahead and do this one and put the value 1 back in there. So here now we are good to go. And now to print an element of the array, console.writeLine, we start with the name of the array, my array, in open bracket, close bracket, and then we will have to put the index. So let's say that we want to print array with the index of 4, and the value that will be printed should be 5. So let's go ahead and put 4 here, semicolon, and let's go ahead and run our application. So as you can see, the results are as expected. So here we are selecting the array with the index of 4, and this is what we are getting. The value for 4 is 5. So what if we change this index, and let's put a number here that does not really exist within the indexes. So let's go ahead and put a 6 in here. So although we are not really seeing any error right now, but if we run our application, here, the compiler is generating an error indicating that index was outside the bounds of the array. So let's go ahead and stop this. So basically what it means that once we declare an array with a size, we cannot change the size of the array. So if we've declared our array to have 6 elements in it, we cannot have the 7th element. So it's not possible. So let's go ahead and change this one back to let's say 3, and let's run our application again. Here the results are as expected, and we are getting a 4 as the answer. So what if we want to print the content of our array? So let's go ahead and get rid of this one. We can use one of the loops that we've discussed earlier. In this case, let's use for loop 4. Let's set our counter, and array count is equal to 0, and let's set our condition, array count smaller than array name, which is my array dot length, and finally increment our count, array count plus plus. Console.writeLine for the argument, my array, and within brackets, we need to put the counter, which in this case we have array count. So let's copy that and do a paste here and semicolon at the end. Now let's go ahead and run our application. So as you can see, the results are as expected, and we are getting the value for each of the array's element. To conclude, as indicated before, arrays are strongly typed, meaning that if we declare an array of type integer, we cannot have a string as one of the array elements. Our code won't even compile if we try to. Once an array is initialized, it cannot grow in size. Array elements cannot exceed the size originally set. In our example, if we have an array of size 6, and if we try to access the array with the index of 6, we will get a runtime error. Although the compiler may not indicate an error, however, error will appear when the code is run. Please keep in mind that once an array is declared, we cannot change the size of the array. To print the contents of an array, we can use the for or for each loop to examine each element of the array and print the results. This is the end of this tutorial. Please don't forget to subscribe and click on the notifications. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.